Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank Atlas Foundation and Alvaro for contacting me to be part of this award-winning publication. In the first place, when I was contacted to find out if there are examples of entrepreneurs who are making ends meet despite obstacles, I told them to give me 2 weeks to find out if they actually existed. At the end of the day, I was able to give some examples of entrepreneurs who are making ends meet. I would like you to imagine a country where majority live in less than $1 per day, where investment climate is not conducive, where government have embarked on various initiatives to cushion poverty. At the end of the day, they were not able to cushion poverty. I would also like you to imagine a country where many people who look up to government to initiate programs to better their life have had their hope dashed. Despite all this, a group of people, mostly women with little or no education, who operate informally with no government support, were able to create wealth as well as generate employment. They were able to drive up agri industry from mere $250,000 to more than $20 million. Since poverty relates to inability to meet basic needs such as health, clothing, and shelter, the per capita income in Nigeria has remained low, and majority of people earning less than $1 per day has keep on increasing from a mere figure, from a modest percentage of 27% in 1980, it has increased up to 75% as of 2004. In 1997, more than 90 million people earn less than $1 per day. There is high level of poverty among farmers than non-farmers. That is, 73% of those who engage in farming experience poverty more than those who are non-farmers. That is 58%. In terms of poverty burden in Nigeria, those in the rural area mostly earn less than $1 per day. In 1980, the percentage was quite modest. In 1996, the percentage of people earning less than $1 per day has also increased more than 70%. Despite this poverty level in the country, in Nigeria, there has been various public policy approaches to ensure that majority of people were out of poverty. It is ironic to note that most of this policy seeing the poor as victims who need to be helped rather than human beings who are part of solution to the challenges of economic problem. So there has been many poverty reduction measures that has been undertaken by various successive governments. The first one is National Directorate of Employment, which was established in 1986. This agency was given the responsibility to create employment and also give training in specific trade. And at the end of the training, each participant were given some form of microcredits to actually commence the business. The second is Better Life Program. This program focuses mainly on women in rural areas. Input and microcredit were also given out at discounted rate. The third is People's Bank of Nigeria. This People's Bank of Nigeria was established to give loans to local people, as well as carry out less sophisticated banking activity, as well as also inculcating the bank saving culture among local people in Nigeria. The fourth, Family Economic Advancement Program was also created to support the establishment of cottage industries. But it turned out to be another drain pipe on the economy, on the purse of the public fund, because rather than actually alleviating poverty, it actually succeeded in increasing poverty. By the time the program was winding up in 1998, more than $100 million had been expended on the program. The last is National Poverty Alleviation Program, which was brought about in 1999 by the previous government shortly after the election. Here, various government departments were given the responsibility to actually alleviating poverty. As at the time the program was winding up, more than $200 million had been expended. But it is sadly to note that these agencies were unable to alleviate poverty. In actual fact, they have succeeded in aggravating poverty. Despite all these poverty reduction measures undertaken by successful governments, a group of people, mostly women in their prime, below 30 and between 30 and 45 years, use their entrepreneurial skill to engage in a direct business. Most of them did not get high qualification. The highest qualification that they get is secondary education, which has the highest percentage. This is followed by those who attended primary schools, and those who did not go to school, unlettered, are also in majority. The last category is those who attended university or polytechnic. Interestingly, this last category did not enter into a direct business as a first choice. They were unable to get white-collar jobs, so they had to make recourse into a direct business in order to make ends meet. And it goes on to justify the fact that entrepreneurs create jobs. I also look into the previous occupation of Adire entrepreneurs. A substantial number of them were in one form of business or the other before venturing into Adire business. 45% were into trading activities, and they moved to Adire business because they see a better opportunity in the business. The second category are artisans and technicians who also migrated to the business. And also we have those who are unemployed and farmers who also move into the business. I also look into the number of years that has been spent by individual in Adire business. A higher percentage of Adire business are spent more than 10 years in the business. This is followed by those who spend between 5 and 10 years and those who spend less than five years. It's interesting to note that those who spend more than 10 years and those who spend between 5 and 10 years remain in the business because of the opportunities with which the business offers them. A common economic sense dictates that you won't be in the same business if you are even worse off, or if you are not able to make ends meet. In terms of earning, 19% of adherent entrepreneurs earn as much as $1.53 per day, in surplus. This is followed by 22% who earn $4.61, followed by those who earn $10.77, that is 20% of them. 28% of entrepreneurs, 21% of the entrepreneurs earn average daily surplus of $18.46. In terms of comparative to other forms of employment in Nigeria, the lowest of their daily earners can compare favorably more than those who are engaged by federal government and state government employment, that is, who are on a daily wage of $1.41. The highest are the earners, which earn $18.46, compete favorably, that is, their income, daily income, compete favorably with managers both in private and public sector, what they earn in a day. Again, I also look into other sources of income for the adherent entrepreneurs to show that the income from adherent is not propped up by other sources of income. Income from investment top the list. And on further inquiry, it was discovered that a higher percentage of adherent entrepreneurs have invested their income in real estate, with which they lease out to potential tenants and with which they also get income from. I also look into the source of credit facilities. This is very crucial because how big your business is quite dependent on availability of credit facilities. Interestingly, a huge percentage relies so much on cooperative credit association. This is followed by money lenders. This is local people who give out loans to business and non-business alike. But the money lenders have cutthroat interest rates as high as 80 or 100%. And grant from government is quite nil. Assistance from government. Adherent entrepreneurs did not get, a huge number of them never get substantial assistance from government. Rather, they were even more repressed by government regulations with which they were made to comply with. The implication of this is the fact that several government poverty alleviation programs were nonsense. This is because all these various interventionist approach do not necessarily reduce poverty. And government handout, which is aimed at cushioning those who are poor, actually ending up fostering dependency. And as you can see, more than $23 million has been expended in Ogun State alone on poverty alleviation program, and none of them ever trickle to these adherent entrepreneurs. How are the entrepreneurs covered their head bills is also crucial, and because poverty relates to inability to have access to healthcare delivery as well as pay for the healthcare. A resounding percentage, more than 90% use income from a direct business to pay for their health bills. Again, I also look into the condition of entrepreneurs. That is, when they were into the business and before they were in business. More than 90% of entrepreneurs have had their condition improve substantially. A testimony from one of the entrepreneurs is quite revealing. I started a direct business 30 years ago. I started with $417. The business now worth $8,167. I have sponsored 4 children up to university level and now feed 9 children. I have assets worth $40,667. The story of direct entrepreneurs, therefore, goes on to show that entrepreneurship leads to wealth creation. Findings from this study further show that further demystified the view that the poor are victims to be helped. In actual fact, the poor people can also become rich if the environment to make them exercise their God-given talent is made conducive. And the story of the entrepreneur further demystified the fact that the so-called foreign aid with which various governments in Africa and Nigeria particularly received over a long period of years never trickled down to people who it was meant to actually cushion their poverty level. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you the experience of entrepreneurs in Nigeria.
This question is for both panels. Thank you for a great speech that you provided for us. My name is Homan Hajiran from Wheeling Jesuit University in Wheeling, West Virginia. And for flourishing capitalism and for basically entrepreneurship that you're promoting, you need some prerequisites in any type of a government or any kind of society. One is having a government that can enforce the rule of law, the contracts. You need a good legal system that is not corrupt. You need the government that can enforce the private property rights. My question is that in light of what's happening right now in the banking system, can we also include nationalization of the banking system as also as a prerequisite? The reason for that is because the banking system will really provide the credit, which is the lifeblood of capitalism. So should that also be as a prerequisite similar to rule of law, legal system, everything else? And also a related question to this as well, is political freedom a prerequisite for economic freedom?
There is, of course, the question about the institutions that are required to these stories to exist in a more important scale. No, and the research program we should work on must be focuses on that, because some of the factors we thought in the past that were crucial, like, for example, property titles in property titles of the housing, for example, of the, like the Renault de Soto stuff, I think that we're wrong, basically. And one of the proof of this application of the property rights concept was the microfinance story. In Peru, there are 37 regulated entities dedicated to microfinance, average loans of $1,000 per borrower. The system has 2 million clients, and they are growing at 22% per year. And what I'm saying that they are the more profitable banks. They are allowing entrepreneurs from the poorest part of the country to have access to credit, like the Añaños allow them to have access to soft drinks. No? But the system of scoring they use in order to make the credit was invented in the third world, of course. Is more related to be close to the client, to the cash flow of the client, and are not related to the traditional institutions, the property titles, and so on. So we have a lot to do to understand that because they are different institutions. Microfinance entities are formal entities, regulated, and the regulation system in Peru, believe me, is better than in the United States now. They are not only the more profitable, but the rates of arrearage are the lowest. So I think that this is a typical case of a private business and a typical case of solution of poverty. But I think that in terms of theoretical work, of conceptual work, we are not yet ready to explain or to put in place this, explanation for this new phenomena.
A few days ago, the Argentinian government decided to nationalize the pension system, involving several $1 billion, and the Congress has approved the measure. I would like to hear your opinions about that.
Unfortunately, we are not surprised by that measure. The government in Argentina needs the money and doesn't know what to do, what else to do to get the money. During the last month, Argentina lived a very, I think, in my opinion, historical tax revolt. The population pressed the Congress to stop a law that established export duties for about 60% for soybean exports. The government in Argentina, this government, the Kirchner's government, has an increasing public spending. If we compare the public spending of this year with the 2001, is almost 3 times, not 20%, 25 or 30, 3 times the budget of the public spending of the year 2001. So they doesn't know how to do to get the money. So they are trying to rob money in any way. The case of the pension fund, Argentina during the 90s adopted a very interesting private-based pension fund system based on the Chilean one. Not as perfect, as good as the Chilean one, but very similar. And now the government is trying to rob our future. So I think that example reflects very well the spirit of that in Argentina and many Latin American countries, the government has no limit to rob money from the private, from the individuals. Yes.
Thank you. We have time for one more question.
Astrid Arca, George Mason University. This question is for Mr. Cordova. One thing that you left out in your talk but mentioned in the book is the huge political change in 1992-93 with Fujimori's autogolpe and the change to the constitution and the Foro Sendero. So this made a huge difference in how business was run because it gave a great foundation for entrepreneurship. Yet we all know that Fujimori was an autocrat and a thief. So my question goes, what do you think made Fujimori embrace markets and free market and fix the economy despite of his personality and his inclinations towards stealing, unlike someone like, let's say, Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, who resorts to violence?
Well, Fujimori was a controversial politician, of course, but what I can tell you is that in the economic side, he applied what Mario Vargas Llosa was planning to do. But maybe he was a better politician because he lies, no? And he said that he won't be, he will not be doing the program that was the correct program for that moment, no? So the program of Libertad that was applied by Fujimori, with some components of that were not, of course, in the plans of Libertad, that were for example, some dictatorship political framework, were the program that were in the previous panel presented for Estonia, for example. No, that is to open the market and to control inflation. A new constitution, but not the new constitution like the constitution that was presented by Gabriel. No, it's a new constitution with a very good economic chapter. No, respecting property rights, opening independent central bank, etc., etc. So the model, the economic model that has been respected by President Toledo, has been respected by Alan Garcia, number 2. No, and we have some policies of state that allow Peru to grow the 9% this year, and to be one of the countries that is the best prepared for this economic crisis. So, unfortunately, it's not the case of Argentina, it's not the case of Ecuador, it's not the case of Venezuela, of course, but Peru has become, with Chile, one of the countries that we can say that has a basic economic environment that allows entrepreneurship to be possible. And I have to say that was thanks in a large part to the economic reforms that were realized during the first term of the Fujimori government. The second, all the corruption camps, but the first term was the key for this development. I don't know if I answered your question in this way, but we can take a coffee and have more discussion about that after that.